Hey there, my name is Vincent, and this reading is for all of you out there with Aries placements, whatever those may be. I have been attempting to connect with the Aries verse all morning, so I'm hopefully pretty tuned in. I have some pretty prominent Aries placements myself, so I think I'm already kind of there in this with you guys. But yeah, we'll see what comes through in your reading today. I already did have one card that kind of just flew out of the deck when I was shuffling, and it's the Ten of Wands. This is the last decan of Sagittarius. It's a Saturn-ruled decan. Can represent things like having Saturn in Sagittarius, or it can just represent that principle of Saturn being in a fire sign, where it sort of tries to exercise its authority in a way that isn't always healthy. Like, this is the card of like tyranny and depression. This can be something that maybe you're experiencing in your personal life, whether it's in the country that you live in, or if it's an experience with people in positions of management above you, or even just you in a position of authority exercising your will in a way that isn't exactly healthy or isn't being received well. Either you or somebody else is taking on more responsibility than they should, and it's kind of dragging you down and putting out the indwelling fire, so to speak. There's just a sense of like restricted spontaneity. This could have something to do with the fact that Saturn recently, like in the last 2 days at the time of me recording this, stationed retrograde in our sign of Aries. And just kind of conveying that sense that having Saturn in your sign brings to the table. It just feels like it takes more effort to perform tasks that would otherwise normally feel pretty easy. It takes longer to complete things. Maybe your energy is feeling kind of weighed down and stuck in a way. Maybe there's a kind of melancholy that's kind of taking a foothold, because Saturn can be pretty melancholic, especially when it's transiting through a sign where you have a lot of personal planets. There can be a tendency to withdraw from the world and want to maybe lay around and do nothing all day, because it's just everything just feels so heavy. Your body feels heavy, your mind feels heavy. But I think with this card, there's kind of this reminder to take care of yourself, withdraw from certain responsibilities if you've taken on too much. If you're putting too many responsibilities on other people, maybe be aware of that as well. But yeah, there's a sense and need for rest, for acknowledging the fact that you're not all powerful and capable of doing everything everywhere all at once. You need to be able to delegate, or you need to be able to effectively manage your time and effort so that you can carry a larger project to fruition, perhaps in parts, rather than trying to tackle the entire thing all at once, so that your energy is better distributed throughout the whole. Because I feel like that's going to be a struggle for the foreseeable future, is learning how to manage your energy appropriately so that you're not just burning out right at the start, right at the onset. Because with Saturn, there's this theme of needing to follow something through to its completion and ultimate fruition. You know, Aries, I think we have a tendency to get really excited about something at the onset and you know, kind of go gung-ho, full throttle, pedal to the metal, and then very quickly find ourselves feeling tired and disinterested in what we've started for ourselves, and so we end up moving on to the next thing in a lot of sense. I'm not saying that this is you in particular, but it is kind of an innate tendency with the sign of Aries to do that sort of thing. So in order to not do that, and in order to see something through to its completion, again, learning to organize your time and your energy and your efforts effectively so that you're able to follow through with something. Long ramble, but let's pull some more cards for you, Aries. Okay, we have the Queen of Wands, maybe showing up for your own reading. With the Ten of Wands, I'm seeing this as kind of a sense of pride, but not like in a healthy way. Because I mean, I think some pride is called for when you're good at what you do and when you carry yourself with confidence. I think this is sort of like a false pride, or like a vanity, or like again, I think it's emphasizing that sense that maybe you feel like you can take on so much and you can tackle this giant project or endeavor on your own without help and in 5 minutes. But you're not. And so I think part of what this card in combination with this Ten of Wands is talking about is recognizing your limits and not driving yourself to failure just because you have a false sense of belief in yourself. It's okay to be confident. It's okay to acknowledge that you're capable of doing things and that you maybe at some points do have the energy available to you to tackle a project like this, whatever this project might be. Could be, take it however you will. It can refer to a relationship as a project. It can refer to something professional, maybe relocating or moving, starting a new venture of some kind. Try to interpret that however you will. Apply it to whatever situation you're dealing with in whatever way you feel most appropriate. But recognize that this is not the season for trying to be the ultimate authority or trying to be the perfect worker, trying to be the end-all be-all. I've done everything myself and I don't need anybody else. I'm totally capable of following through with this. I think Saturn's going to show up for you in ways that you maybe don't expect, or ways that it's interesting. I'm seeing like the Queen of Wands is kind of like, I'm seeing in my head like she's looking away, like she doesn't even want to look at it. She knows it's there, but she doesn't care. Like she is aware that Saturn is present and Saturn is about to teach her a hard lesson, but she's got like a blindfold on, or she's looking away in some way. Like, if I don't look at it, it's not real. If I don't look at it and I just keep going, everything's going to be fine. But it's like, no, burnout is a thing. Maybe trying to work too fast without taking the time to sift through the little details is going to result in a catastrophic failure in the structure of whatever it is that you're working towards. So this is definitely like a slow down, think about what you're doing before you're doing it. Maybe draw yourself a roadmap. That gets you to whatever this goal or project is that you're working on, that whatever you have in mind that you're aiming towards and that you're motivated to pursue. Just make sure, it's just like break it into pieces. I just keep like, it's take it a piece at a time. And if you're in a work environment where you have people that work under you, just make sure that you allow yourself to trust the people that you've hired to work for you, and trust that they're going to be able to do the job that you need them to do. So delegate your tasks. If you have a lot on your plate, pull aside the people that you trust in your workplace to help you out with it. Make it a collaborative venture so that different angles are able to kind of size up whatever this venture is, and tackle different problems that any one person alone wouldn't have been able to see because they have a certain perspective, but somebody else with a different perspective might be able to see from a completely different angle and see that something was completely missed. So don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of asking for help, of delegating, of slowing down and taking your time, because this isn't a race. It doesn't have to be a race. And you don't have to crack the whip. Like, I feel like this energy with this card is just like somebody is cracking the whip and trying to make this happen and like forcing it to happen rather than allowing it to happen. Okay, you have the Prince of Discs showing up next. Yeah, this is like taking that slow and deliberate approach and making sure that the little details are accounted for. This is interesting. It's kind of showing up. I don't know how to word this. Like, this is so strange. So if they're, I'm going to use a really strange analogy, and I don't know if it's going to make sense, but like, it's coming through as like a writer who's writing a book, and instead of publishing the entire book, it's like you're publishing parts of it, like multiple volumes. And each volume is kind of like a goal post or like a threshold. That this idea of thresholds has been coming up in my readings lately, but maybe also because of the two primary staves here on this card, it's like a sort of gate. It's I think I used in the last reading I did, it's a save point. And each step made in progress is like fortifying whatever it is that you're building up. It's laying down foundations and bricks and layers upon bricks and it's giving structure that is going to hold space for the end result that you're aiming towards. But you need to be very careful, very deliberate, very practical. I'm hearing audit yourself, whatever that means. Maybe audit your supply lists, your measure twice, cut once sort of thing. And this could also represent an actual figure in your life, another person, possibly an earth sign, so Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or just somebody who has a very pragmatic sense of things. Somebody who's very cautious, very material oriented, has a great understanding of how pieces and parts fit together in a very real way. Maybe an engineer. But this is somebody who can help you, somebody who works under the authority of this Queen of Wands, who hopefully is learning to not think that she is the end-all, be-all, most powerful, most wonderful and capable person. Like, she needs to kind of acknowledge that she has power and acknowledge that she has ambition, but know that her ultimate ambition will not be realized without taking time to get there and without collaborating and hearing what somebody else has to say about what you're doing, because their input is going to be valuable in making this a reality. Okay, we have the Success card coming through. This is the Six of Pentacles, middle decan of Taurus, and ruled by the moon. What I'm getting with this card is sort of like a recognition of geometry. I mean, obviously you have the six main planets kind of harmoniously arranged around the central part of the card here. But in that is a sense of timing. I think this connects back to what I was saying earlier about this not being the season of rushing things. This is the season of slow and deliberate effort and trusting that the end result will be attained after a period of time, like, because Saturn promises results over as time has progressed, rather than the Mars approach, which is, I'm going to do something now and I expect the result to be right here, right now, like immediate, acute. Saturn's like, nah, you'll maybe see it in a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, years, decades. You'll get it eventually, but you're going to have to take a breath and wait. And so I think with this card, you're being promised the result that you want. You're being promised the success that you're aiming for. But again, it's going to take time. There's going to be an unfolding. And I think this has to do with the moon. It can be, obviously, I mean, it's a moon ruled decan in the center of Taurus, but it could also represent a placement of like the moon in Taurus. That could be something relevant to timing. Maybe timing your launch of something when the moon is in Taurus so that it's fortified and feels supported and endures over long periods of time. But I think it also can fundamentally represent this process of the waxing moon, of like working and building up in light until you reach the point of fullness, and the goal that your ambition has set sights on is finally realized and made real in the physical earthly world. You know, it takes shape, and all of the different approaches and collaborative pieces and people that have worked together towards this shared goal finally results in a harmonious form. But again, I think there's this real emphasis on like collaboration. I kind of want to see what card is on the bottom of the deck just to see. Okay, so we have the Ace of Wands. This to me is like singular focus, controlled effort, sustained effort, especially with the cards that are on the table. You know, I feel like this Ace of Wands energy is very familiar to Aries because it does represent that sort of burgeoning at the beginning, that rush of passion and excitement when we want something. And if that energy is controlled and utilized appropriately, we can move mountains, literally. But yeah, with this card, it's like, in order for this energy to flow unimpeded and to reach towards the bullseye, everything has to be arranged just thus. Like, I'm seeing like that engineer analogy that I was getting. It was like somebody's paying very close attention to the geometric alignment of different pieces and parts so that the end product is precise. Like the analogy I'm getting is like manufacturing. Even like 3D printing, like everything has to be measured. Every alignment accounted for and calibrated in relation to the other alignments. I'm not really sure how else to describe this, but I think you're kind of getting what I'm saying. I do want to pull one more card, and actually I guess it's going to be this card because it was like, hey. Okay, so we have the last decan of Taurus showing up. Saturn ruled, some more Saturn energy kind of coming through. This is the card of failure. And it's interesting that we have success and failure showing up at the same time. But what I'm hearing is like failure isn't an option. Failure is a consequence of misdirected energy, of not having audited yourself, so to speak, and not getting the help necessary and taking on outside perspectives and ideas on what it is that you're working towards. I feel like if this energy is carried through, this is the result. Like if you continue to be oppressive and inflexible and have like an iron wall around whatever it is that you're working on, and you won't let anyone in, you won't let any input in, you won't take anybody's advice, you know, you end up in a place that you didn't want to be. The very thing that you've been trying to avoid is the thing that will show its face to you. And again, more Saturn. Slow down. Be deliberate and careful about what you're doing and how you're doing it. Measure twice, cut once. Cards have gone quiet, so I know this is kind of a shorter reading than is typical for me, but I don't know, maybe I don't think I need to pull any more cards. I feel like the message is very simple, very clear, very much like you already knew that you needed to slow down. You already knew that you needed to be more careful and cautious and maybe acknowledge that other people can help you. You don't need to be burning the candle at both ends just because you think that you have to do this by yourself. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You know, if you are working towards something, is the result more important to you, or is your reputation more important to you? Maybe that's something that's kind of coming through. Do you want people to think that you are this all-powerful, omnipotent being, or are you more concerned with bringing about this new business? And I should be careful in saying this. I'm not saying you need to sacrifice your dignity, that you need to stoop to any lows, or that you need to do any sort of backwards approaches and sacrifice your reputation in that way, if that makes sense. What I'm saying is that if you're hurting and struggling on your own, is that worth it? You know, if somebody else is approaching you and offering their services and offering their help, don't turn them down just because you think you're the only one that can get it right, and that whatever they have to say is just going to ruin things. And it's not. It's just not. They have an approach that's going to be necessary for whatever it is that you're working on. Take their advice. Take them out to lunch and talk about this, you know. Interesting. Okay, so a little configuration that's kind of come through is the fact that both of these are Taurus cards, and this represents somebody who is an earth sign typically. I mean, they don't have to be, but usually it does represent somebody with some prominent earth placements. And I'm almost wondering if either this person is a Taurus, maybe has Taurus placements, Moon in Taurus, Saturn in Taurus, or if this just represents the fact that they have the key to both your success and your failure. And I think their success is more promised if you do allow them to come in beyond the walls that you've built up to keep people out and to keep outside perspectives and influences out. You know, I feel like they have the key to your success if that's the case. But if you push them away, maybe this is the result. If you deny their services or you deny their approach and perspective on things, not only will your project be met with failure, your efforts be met with failure, but even the reputation you were maybe trying to protect, or the sense of pride in yourself. I don't know what I don't really know how to approach this. It just feels like you see maybe getting outside help as a weakness, but you're gonna look even more weak if you fail, right? So acknowledge that you need help. Stop whipping yourself. You know, you don't need to be a slave driver. I'm hearing, stop it, get some help. And that's it. That's the crux of the message. Accept the help that is offered. Because I feel like it's a vital, critical piece. It's the cornerstone. Okay. And with that, I know we went off a little longer than I expected. It just it popped into my head after everything went quiet. But wish you all the best, Aries. Hang in there. This is going to be a interesting couple of years with Saturn transiting our sign. We get a little break this winter with Saturn going back into Pisces from September until next February. So, you know, Pisces placements will be dealing with closing out whatever chapter they've been working on in the story that's unfolding for them. And Aries will get a little return to normal, or at least return to feeling a little bit less heavy, hopefully. So anyway, take care, be good, or don't.